Hello, my name is Omar Rampersad. It is 5:34 p.m. May 3rd, 2020. So I tweeted a bunch of tweets and I uploaded some data that proves that I am being tracked, that I am being tortured, I am being trafficked. And I also outlined some parallels between what's been going on in this building for years and years and years and what's going on under COVID-19. So what's been going on in the building was and is false flags by traffickers. They're criminals to start with, but they're colluding cops. So I think that in my case, I was chosen by traffickers to be experimented with and to be trafficked remotely. Because the technology was not developed, like haptic technology and so on, or maybe available, maybe it was developed but not available. The trafficking part did not take the form of invasive technologies, such as haptic technology, where ultrasounds are being pushed into your body cavities to simulate certain feelings, like the ultrasound will cause pressure, and if you use the beam in an in and out fashion, like pulse the beam, then it will simulate the sex act. So these things are being experimented with for virtual sex in the industry. So this is what's been going on in the more recent part of this whole program. But I believe in my case, the program was experimentation, remote neural monitoring as being done right now in China. I read an article, I think I did this on video as well, where the kids' brainwave patterns are being fed to the teacher's iPad. And if the child's attention is distracted, then the teacher comes over. And it's also fed to the parents as well, wirelessly. This is wirelessly done. So years ago, this was being done years ago. I suspected it because my thoughts would be echoed in places that I'd go out in public. And of course, you would think, well, it's just a coincidence, just coincidence, just coincidence. And you'd write it off, write it off, write it off, until it comes a point where it's more than just coincidence. It becomes very, really clear that it's more than just coincidence. And it's just, it goes beyond, just happenstance. So I had suspected it. And I did some research, and of course, there was research being done in the military and so on. So the technology existed. But at the time, you seemed to have contact sensors in order to read your brain waves. And then later on, of course, they came out and exposed the fact that it could be done wirelessly. So 30 years ago, targets were talking about their thoughts being read. And the cops who they talked to and anybody else, politicians, whoever, at the time were telling them, something's wrong with you, you're mentally ill. And here we are in 2020, and it's being used in schools in China. So in the workplace, in past workplaces, the experiments that's been carried out in this building by Chinese traffickers, PK being one of them, and the contractors who are working with him, and the cops who are giving out the contracts by first flagging. These people actually are reading your thoughts, and they are using similar technologies that picks up your brainwaves technologies. These are sophisticated technologies that picks up your brainwaves and interprets it, which has to be, very sophisticated computerized systems to do this. So in much the same way that they can take out your thoughts, they can interpret your brainwaves, take out your thoughts, basically. extrapolate your thoughts. They can put thoughts in exactly the same way. And emotions, anger, all the negative emotions, they don't put love in, I'll tell you that. Um, they will put lust in, but they will not put love in. All the thoughts, emotions, anger, hatred, all these things have an emotional pattern, a frequency pattern. And I would imagine that these patterns are probably unique to the person, but a foreign pattern could be put into a person, right? You can take pattern from person A and put it into person B, much the same way that you can extract each thoughts and manipulate it. So put in input, output, both ways. So this is being done. And this way you can also have dream manipulations, because images can be pulsed into your brain with lasers. Um, uh, um, uh, Thoughts can be put in that will while you're sleeping in a semi-conscious state. Your programming could be done. So images could be pulsed into your brain, and you'll see these images along with, and at the same time, certain body parts will be stimulated. And I'll give you an example. It's not always sexual. It's used to create nightmares and to traumatize you in your sleep. I used to always have this dream that I was at the edge of a cliff. Yeah, a cliff that I had to jump over to get over to the other side, and it was a deep drop. And if I fell, I'd be hurt really badly or die. And I'd feel myself in the dream getting ready to jump, but instead of jumping, I would fall. And when the image of the fall would be projected into the head, the same time the legs were pulsed, and I would know my legs were pulsed because I would get up in pain. So the muscle in the legs would spasm, and you would feel your legs jump by itself, much like a reflex action, like if the doctor hit your knee with that little hammer to test your reflex. Much of the same way, only in this case it will hurt because they're using laser light technology, technology that will affect your nervous system, that hurts. So the muscle there's a spasm in the muscle that's so huge that your entire leg just moves suddenly, as if you were to make the jump. So these things go together. Now, normally you would think, yeah, you have a nightmare and you're doing it in your sleep, like you're jumping and it's almost as if you're in real life, you're doing it in your sleep. But in my case, I get up in pain. And recently I did an experiment where not only did I get up in pain, the microwave detector was alarming at the same time. So I know it wasn't a dream. It was a manipulated situation being done as you sleep. So they can also lower and increase the frequencies of your sleep patterns, because when you sleep, there's a certain frequency that you drop, the brain wave frequencies drop to. And as you wake up, it comes up to different levels, through different levels, until you become wide awake. The programming for certain types of personalities. Let's say you want to be. I'm trying not to use the classic sex slave butterfly kitten programming that everybody knows about. Let's say you're an athlete and they want you to to do drugs, to run drugs, a mule. You know, they would choose the level of the frequency that will enhance the running part of the program. So there's a certain frequency that goes with running, and there is a certain level of consciousness that that frequency could be put in that will have the most effect. If I'm wrong, correct me. I think that's from my research. This is how it works. It's just like the beta programming. There's theta, alpha, theta, beta, and there's 4 of them. A, B, alpha, and alpha, beta, theta, and okay, sorry. Frustrates the heck out of me when I don't remember these simple things. Hold on for a second. Let me just bring up a here, which closed because my computer crashed for the millionth time. My signals dropped. So different frequencies of the brain. The delta, theta, alpha, and beta. Beta, that's it. So the beta programming is where the sex kitten programming goes in. So yeah, so this is part of the whole remote torture program. Your dream could be manipulated. You could be programmed to be a certain personality. You can be programmed to be a criminal. You can be programmed to be an actor. If you're in Hollywood, you could be an actor, an actress. You can be programmed for a certain role in a movie, for instance. So it comes in really handy, very, very handy, except for the fact that it is torture. And it's extremely invasive. And it's equivalent to taking over somebody, taking over the personality of the person and using the body without their consent for whatever reason, for whatever purpose that you want. It's satanic, really, it is. It is satanic. So anyway, to change topic, and if you notice, my grays are more visible. That's only because I haven't gone to the drugstore for a little while to get dye. That's one reason. And number two, I decided to show what these signals do to people. This is the reason why your hair goes gray is because the millimeter wave technology and the radiation that is supposed not to harm you, it's not supposed to create any permanent damage, actually does. It kills your cells. It kills cells on your skin and underneath the skin as well, because it does penetrate far enough into your skin to kill the cells. And there are also all different types of physiological effects that I'm not going to go into detail here. So I'm being pulsed as I'm talking. And here is the effects of being pulsed constantly. And I just got a huge pulse on the thighs, 37.8, which indicates, according to this, that I have a fever. Of course, I don't have a fever, 37.6. Immediate drop, 37.6. And my knees are being pulsed, 37.4. So here's my knee. That's the knee. That's the chest. So given that this is being done to Omar Rampersad, as part of the experiment being run by PK, who says he's working with the government, and I'm being flagged by the cops based on lies. So the cops, the government, and PK's government are working together to carry out this experiment. The experiment, the experiment being run on me, are taking on the exact template that's being done while COVID-19 is going on. Exactly the same thing. Flagging, targeting, certain people are targets. If you have a diagnosis, you're a target, you're flagged, you're going to be chipped, vaccinated, chipped, isolated. And if you go out in public, you're going to be driven out and you're going to be told to stay home. That's exactly what is going on with Omar Rampersad. Exactly what's going on. I'm being flagged as a prostitute, which I'm not. So is COVID-19 real? Is the virus real? Is this crisis real, I should ask? I'm sure there's such a thing as a virus, as the virus. Is the crisis real? Is probably the right answer, the question to ask. So am I really a prostitute? And no, I'm not. It's a lie. It's used as a cover. It's a false flag. I'm falsely flagged as a prostitute to run the experiment. And in order to continue the experiment, propaganda is continuously spewed out about me. So what's the crisis on COVID-19? Every day you get an update. And there are millions of people around the world who are saying, no, this is not true. No, this is not true. The doctors who are working with the people who are doing the updates are coming out with numbers. They're coming out with all sorts of data. And there are other doctors around the world who are disagreeing. So is it true? Well, we know that what's being said about Omar Rampersad is not true. Even though I heard that the cops say they have good proof, well, the cops had good proof when they falsely charged me, which never held because it was a false charge. It never happened. So the hand, so I don't have a fever. Of course, I'll prove it to you. 36.8. 36.9. 36.9. And my chest is continuously being pulsed. 37.8. 37.7. 37.6. 37.5, no fever. So once a scan happens, the temperature goes up, spikes, and it drops immediately. So I don't have a fever, 37.4. The right side, as usual, I'm hotter than the left side. I am suspecting that there is a chip on the right side of my body. And keep in mind that chips don't have to be put in a medical procedure. They can actually shoot a chip into you. A nano chip is, the regular chip is probably the size of half a rice grain now, not even a rice grain. So a nano chip is going to be a very small fraction of that. So if you think that you got stung by a bee and the pain goes on and on and on, you think again. Think about what that could possibly be. 36.7 on the left side. So my body is continuously being heated up. So by the end of the day, I'm exhausted. So when I'm home, I walk around with an ice pack on my back because the ice, 36.8. So what was it just now? 37.8. So 1 degree. And how long has it been? A minute? 36.8. So 36.8 to 37.8. As the scan happens, the temperature immediately goes up, immediate. So that's an active denial type system. And I've proven that by using the other detector, which shows a high electrical component to the beam. So the EF reading is usually 2000 plus, 36.7. And I've done this so many times, 36.6. So no fever. 37.1. And my blood pressure, of course, is all over the place. All over the place. Because once your skin starts burning, there is a pain response that shows in the blood pressure. 37, 37, 36.9, 36.9, 36.8, 36.7, 36.7. No fever. Definitely no fever. So here is the other detector. Notice the EF reading there. And the RF is also high, this one. Did it go up to 50? Maybe it was 50, not sure. But yeah, so here, the EF reading all over the place. So the hand is tagged. And the RF reading is up to almost 20. The temple. So the ear is hurting. I have a slight headache. So when your skin is burning and it goes up to 37.8 and the temperature actually went up, sometimes it goes up to 39. That's how hot, that's how high the power is turned up. And when I say the power, I mean this component. The VM component is 2000 plus, which we've seen before several times. It affects your emotions. It stresses you out. And if you keep those emotions bottled up inside of you, you will go nuts. Now, I don't believe in violence, and I know what's going on, so there is no point, absolutely no point in even thinking. And I wouldn't normally do it anyways, but even though I'm being triggered by being tortured this way, like imagine somebody holding your hand and putting it in the fire, which is exactly what I feel when the power is turned up to over 2000 and I get hit with these beams. It's the equivalent of putting your hand in the fire and somebody holding it there. Will you get angry? Well, of course you're going to get angry. And this is what the perpetrators are using to try to get you to become violent. And men who are targeted this way will become violent. Women, most of the times, do not. Women don't react violently. They will, however, verbalize. And I do verbalize. I have to verbalize. Because I just demonstrated how hot it becomes, and that's only part of what happens. Could you imagine burning your genitals that way? The genitals are very, very sensitive. There is a whole lot of nerves in that area that just makes it extremely sensitive. So you have to deal with that incited emotion. You have to, you don't have a choice. You have to deal with it. Now, violence is out of the question, completely out of the question. So what did the therapist say to me when you feel stressed? You vent, which I do. So the experimenters and the harassers in the building records my venting. And whatever I say when I'm venting means shite. Because when you incite somebody's anger, what they say when they're angry, really, most of the time, they don't mean it. It's just a reflex action to hurt the person in a vulnerable place that you know that the person has, because the person is hurting you. So it's a reflex, a self-defense mechanism to hurt the thing that's hurting you, to defend yourself from it. That's a reflex action and cannot be held against you. Whatever you say when somebody deliberately incites your anger cannot be held against you. And inciting somebody to violence and anger is against the law. So this is a crime that I'm talking about right here. It's the cops' crime, because they are the ones who's running the experiments. So I should stop there. So again, I do not carry weapons on me. I heard comments outside the window that I was in a workplace and I had a knife and I was walking back and forth. I've explained this in many, many tweets. I'll explain it again. The report that's being generated about me based on lies are being released in the workplace. The workplace are taking part in the experiment. They carry out experiments on me in the workplace using these technologies as well. They set me up and they frame me. So this was a frame. The girl who was training me in this workplace would eat at my desk, because her desk was on the other floor and she was training me. So she would come downstairs in the morning and she'd bring her breakfast with her. And she brought knife from the kitchen. She got the jam, she got the bread, the muffin, and she would leave it on my desk. When she's finished, she would leave the knife, she would leave the coffee cup, she would leave the bread there, and I would take it back to the kitchen, so which was about 3 minutes away. So that was the only time I'd have the knife in my hand, and it only happened once. Because when I took it, she left it on my desk. And I thought she'd come back and get it, and she left it the second day. And then I picked it up and I took it back to the kitchen, and she didn't do it again. So she probably got the message. But she would leave other things. So some other days she'd leave pizza on my desk. She left her purse on my desk. One day she took her purse and she counted out, like $150. She put it back in and she left it on the desk and she walked away. And I said, "Are you going to leave your desk, your purse on my desk?" And normally I don't carry cash. I usually use my debit card. Why carry so much cash? She said, "Oh, I have to pay a bill." So I said, "Well, don't leave it on the desk." But she left it anyways. Then I heard that somebody said that she was missing money from her purse. Now, why? Of course, the implication is when she counted the money, I saw it and it was me. When I was the one who told her to take the purse and get it off my desk, because I had a good idea where she was headed with it when she counted the money. Framing and setting up is part of being targeted. So I was being framed. That was a lie. And most likely none of the money was missing. She probably lied, most likely lied about that. Plus, there were cameras in there. I'm pretty sure there were cameras in the company, so they would know they would have to have video evidence of if she did miss the money and she wasn't lying and the money was missing, whatever amount of money that she said was missing, then all you had to do was pull the video, because there were cameras in there. Anyway, so I'll talk to you another time. This is an ongoing targeting, and now the whole world is targeted, right? The whole world is one big target.